Hey everybody. So today we're going to do a little experimental video here with this document camera, and we're going to talk about how to graph a function. Okay, so what you see here is that table that I handed out to you earlier today, or maybe last week, whenever it is you're watching this video. And I have a table here all filled out for the function y equals 2x minus 1. Okay, so what I've done is I've picked three numbers for x. I picked 2, and then I plugged 2 in for the x that's in their function. So our f of x is 2x minus 1. I take the 2, plug it in for x, and calculate. 2 times 2 minus 1 equals 3. So my y is equal to 3. And then I took that, and I took the x that I plugged in and the y that I got out, and I make an ordered pair out of that. Okay? And I repeated that process for 4 and 5 as well. So I have these three ordered pairs. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to actually graph this function now. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to slide my paper up a little bit so you can see this. And I am going to make a coordinate plane. Now, I know you've done this before, but just as a little refresher, start by making a nice straight vertical line on your paper. You can see that. This graph paper is very dark, and I apologize because I bought you all Target graph paper, and it's too dark. I don't like that you can't see the pencil unless you press really hard, but that's what you get when you buy at the bargain bin at Target. So what are you going to do? Okay, now those two lines, you guessed it, are my x going left to right axis, my x-axis that is going from left to right here, and the one that goes from bottom to top is the y-axis. Okay, this point where they cross is called the origin, and this is where the x and y both equal 0. So the coordinate plane is like two number lines that are stacked on top of each other perpendicularly. Kind of a tough word to say. So the x-axis and the y-axis cross, and it's kind of like two number lines are crossing. So here's the point where both number lines equal 0, and we call this the origin, and its coordinates are 0, 0. Origin's pretty important. You'll see why in a little bit here. Okay, so we're going to put some tick marks on our axes here so that we get an idea of the scale of this plane. Because these tick marks could be 1, they could be a half, they could be equal to 1/2, like this could be 1/2, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, and so on. They could be worth 1,000, 1,000, 2,000, 3. It depends on what numbers we're dealing with. Now, the numbers that I have here are pretty small. So the easiest thing for us to do is to make these tick marks worth 1. So I'm going to say that if I go out 5 tick marks, this will be equal to 5. Ooh, I skipped something. The x-axis is positive in the right direction and negative in the left direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4, positive 5, and going to the left, I will have -1, -2, -3, -4, and here I'll have -5. Okay, we're going to do the same thing for the y-axis. The y-axis is positive going up, so this will be +1, 2, 3, 4, and +5 right here. And going down, it will be negative, so -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. -5 right there. That's important so we know the scale of our plane here. All right, so let's go ahead. Can I get the numbers on here? I hope so. Okay, so you can see that our points are 2, 3, 4, 7, and 5, 9. All right, now how do we plot these points? Well, the first thing you're going to do is start at the origin. Okay, now this tells us that we're going to count +2 in the x direction. That would be 2 to the right. So 1, 2 to the right, and then we're going to count. So I'm looking here, +2 to the right, +3 in the y direction, which is 1, 2, 3 up. Okay, so it's always over left or right, depending if this is positive or negative, and up or down, depending positive, negative. All of these numbers are positive, so I'm going to be moving right and up. So let's see, our next point is the point 4, 7. So that means I start in the origin, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to go positive y 7 steps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's my point 4, 7. Let's go ahead and label these. So this point here was 2, 3, and this point here was 4, 7. You know, I just realized that you got to have like a manicure before you do this old document camera. Look at this. Oh boy, I've never seen my hands so close up. I hope this isn't distracting you from learning. Ooh. Okay, next step. Let's take this last point, 5, 9. We're going to go out here. We're going to start at the origin, count over 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Count up 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we are. That's our point 5, 9. Okay, now as we talked about, this is what's called a linear function. So when you plot the points of this function, it doesn't matter what points you put in, they will land on this straight line. Okay? This line is actually a representation of all the solutions of that particular function. Yeah, that's a pretty good job. Okay, so I'm not asking for perfection when you do things by hand, but give it your best shot. Use a ruler. Okay, and that's how we graph a function by hand. Let's take a look at how we can graph a function with a spreadsheet.